1985 was probably the best year to be a geek. Awesome movies like The Goonies, Back to the Future, The Breakfast Club. Neighborhood kids, including myself, were hopping on pogo balls. Teddy Ruxpin watched you sleep. We were all eating handfuls of Sour Patch Kids for the first time. And 1985 was the year the Nintendo Entertainment System was released. It launched, get this, with 17 games. Now, of course, the Famicom, the Japanese version, has been out in Japan before. It was out before, a couple years before this, so it had a lot of time to translate these games, for the most part, and put them onto the US market. And in 1985, those 17 launch titles, that's all you had for the entire year 1985. Well, the Nintendo was released late, I think it was like October, so you had enough to play until the following year. So if you grabbed an NES in 1985, here are the games that you were playing. Make sure you watch to the end too, because you need to let me know in the comments which one was your favorite game in 1985. We had 10-Yard Fight from Irene, that's right, the people who brought us R-Type brought us 10-Yard Fight. And maybe you've played this game and you're like, oh man, it's a little antiquated, it's a little rough, it's like a football game, but it's, could have been better. Well, again, we got it in 1985. The game came out in 1983. It's not that it's a terrible game, it really isn't. It's just that there are better football games after this, but in 1985, this is what you had for the NES. We had baseball as well, can never go wrong with baseball. Non-licensed teams, nothing wrong with that. And this is kind of your typical baseball game, but this one maybe paved the way for how baseball games would be played on the NES for years to come. As far as like what button does what, how you steal bases, how you, pitch to other bases to make sure that they don't steal. It's baseball. It's not bad. We had interesting new games like Clue Land. Now, first of all, the name alone means nothing, right? And the characters are kind of cute, but the game itself is just kind of confusing because you don't really know what you're doing until you just kind of figure it out, And especially with like the weird controls. Like you don't actually move which direction you're going, you're constantly moving. It's your controls that tell you which hand to put out to kind of rotate or pivot around these little pole ball thingies. These little spokes or whatever they call them. So these little coins that you're not really collecting, you're making them appear. Well, they look like coins anyway. And they create a design or a picture. But then you have these little enemies in your way that just, keep blocking you, or you gotta push them out of the way or stuff like that. Every once in a while, like a new barrier will pop up that'll just kind of get in your way. This was a game that I remember not liking back in the day, but I enjoy it more now than I did then. I think back then I just couldn't get a grasp on it. I didn't get it. I was like, nope, I'll move on to something else. But there's a little charm to this game. I kind of like it now. Excitebike was definitely one of the best of the launch titles in my opinion. Couple ways you can play this. You can just play it looking for the best time, looking for the best track. Even though I'm not super good at this game, it's all about just like leveling yourself so you can just, hit those ramps at just the right angle or land just the right way. Gotta use your turbo, but it will overheat if you use it too much, but you can race over these arrows to kind of cool it back down. It's all about getting the timing down and keep on going and just have fun with these little obstacles here. And super fun when you're playing with the computer racers too, because you can like knock them over. Of course, they can also knock you over too, but still. Always a good time with Excitebike. It's a game I still like playing today. And there is a build your own track. Unfortunately for the NES, it couldn't save it. So you could build it, but it wouldn't save it for next time. They forgot to leave that feature off from the Famicom disk system, I guess. But you can still build tracks and race them while you still have the power turned on. How about that? We had golf. Yep, it's golf. Ice Climber came out in 1985 for the NES. It's a game that everyone said they liked, but they secretly don't. Now, I don't know if that's actually true or not, but the jumping is awkward. The jumping is just so weird in this game. It's not great. The detection, sometimes you float through the blocks. Sometimes you try to land on something you just can't move over in time. This game is very, very frustrating with the controls. This game is addicting, though. It makes you want to keep playing because you know you can do better next time. However, it's just super frustrating to climb all the way to the top. Got these Yeti things in your way. You can bash them if you want. They'll run out of the way. The bonus stage at the very end, you can collect the items and all that, and then try to grab onto the bird here. Yeah, for some reason, classic Nintendo loved their bonus stages. So, Ice Climber is super frustrating, but man, it was one of those games that everybody played. Oh, and just so you know, the Japanese version of Ice Climber, instead of having Yetis, has seals. Yeah, you club baby seals. Anyway. Kung Fu, another great arcade game that came out in 1985 for the NES. Kind of Enter the Dragon style. You gotta work your way up, fighting off these enemies to get to where you need to go. You got punches and kicks, and you can jump and kick them in the face if you'd like as well. A little foot sweep if you'd like, sure. Sometimes they don't really attack you. They just like hug you. They just hug you to death. And that's kind of weird, but still. The more you work your way up, more enemies appear, more obstacles get in your way. Another one of those games that just, man, you just want to keep playing it. You just want to do better next time, do better next time. Kung Fu's a classic. Little video pinball for you. I do like pinball. This is pinball for the NES, and I like video pinball. They're still figuring out the mechanics of how the physics in pinball would work for video pinball, and this one's okay. I mean, that's not super great for its time, but it was the best we had for its time. You also have to remember, too, that this is based on pinball, what pinball was like in 1985. So lots of bumpers, lots of little shoot things that can, you know, unlock a picture or something like that. You know, pinball games today are all about the paths you can take and, you know, locking balls into play and doing all this other stuff. But, you know, pinball back in 1985 was like this. And, it's not bad. It's pinball. Another sports game with soccer for the NES. This one actually plays pretty well. It's actually not a terrible game. It's not super bad, you know, even if you're not really into sports. This one's, it's still kind of fun. Don't really need to say more about that. It's just, it's literally soccer, but, you know, there you go. Soccer, yeah. Super Mario Brothers, don't need to spend too much time talking about this, but I will mention that if you haven't played Super Mario Brothers in a long time, it's a lot harder than you remember. I'll leave it at that. I remember playing a lot of tennis for the NES, and I don't know why. I'm not the biggest fan of tennis. It may be just because it was one of those games that we had, so of course I played it, and you can play 2-player on this one, so not bad. You got a couple of different kind of hits you can do. You can lob it or just chuck it or whatever the case is. I'm sure there's a better term for this too. The scoring system in tennis, I'll never understand with the whole point system. I could look it up, but man, I'm not that interested, I guess. Tennis was fine. Wrecking Crew is a personal favorite of mine. I mean, what's not to like? You just break stuff. And you play as Mario in this game. He's gone from carpenter to plumber to now destroyer of things, I guess. And you have to basically just destroy everything on screen that's destroyable. Only problem is sometimes, especially in the later levels, like you might break a ladder, but then it turns out you needed the ladder. Now there are other enemies and obstacles in your way, including sometimes a phantom second player that tries to like bump you off the the scaffolding, but of course you can also, you know, hit them as well. This game also does feature a edit mode, so you can actually edit your own map if you'd like to challenge yourself or challenge a friend or something like that. 100 levels in this one. I love Wrecking Crew. So happy that it was one of the launch titles, man. And Wrecking Crew is still fun today. I still like this game a lot. Had Duck Hunt, the classic, and if you purchased an NES back in 1985, you 100% had this game. And it's a classic, man. I'm not actually shooting the guns. I don't have my gun hooked up right now. But you know Duck Hunt. You shoot the ducks before they fly away. If not, the dog laughs at you. Yes, the arcade version, you can shoot the dog, but that's a different bonus mode that's not included on this game. And also throwing out there, because I'm sure somebody in the comments will mention it, that yes, you can control the ducks with the first player controller, either to troll your little brother or maybe to help him out. This game also features the clay shooting, the clay pigeons here, and this one I enjoyed more than the actual Duck Hunt itself. I don't know, I just enjoyed this one better. Hogan's Alley, another Zapper game that was super fun. This game might be nice for parents because you don't actually shoot other characters. You just shoot their cardboard standee. And you have civilians, but then you also have the bad guy. And you have to make sure that you shoot the bad guy, not the good guys. Again, I don't have a Zapper hooked up, so I'm not actually playing this game. It's just going through. And like Duck Hunt had the clay pigeon shooting, this one has the trick shot. And the trick shot is you have to shoot the can to get it into the different point variables. Just another little bonus game. Little extra game for you for the price of your purchase there. Wild Gunman, yet another great Zapper game. In this one, you actually shoot the people. They come out there looking all menacing, and then when they say fire, that's when you pull your trigger and fire at them. This is more about the reaction timing than about, like, skill shooting. But you still have to shoot them. Like, you still actually have to hit them. And then for the extra mode in this one, this is called Gang. It shows you, like, the saloon, and they might pop out of a window or something. I do like Wild Gunman. I may have played Wild Gunman, I probably played Hogan's Alley more, but Wild Gunman I played a lot. If you had Rob the Robot, you had Robo Gyro, or Gyromite. I know it says Robot Gyro, but still. Now, you can play this game by yourself without the robot. The second controller, the A and B buttons will raise and lower the different pillars here. Of course, the fun of the game, the reason you want to play this game is to use Rob the Robot to hit those buttons for you, but if you just want to play it by yourself and use the other controller to hit the buttons, you can do that. It's fine. The gameplay, like when you're playing the game, the music that plays in the background music, I guess they call it. Took me long enough to think of what it was. The background music to this game is super awesome. I wish they would bring this back in some capacity. And the other Rob the Robot game is Stack Up, course, on this screen it says Robot Block. And it's more of a tech demo, I think, than anything else. Like, there might be a game involved in here somewhere, but it's more just, you know, can you use Rob the Robot to do what you need to do for this game. Not fun at all, probably with Rob the Robot too, but certainly not really fun just by yourself as well. It's a tech demo, so I know it's certainly collectible for the NES, but yeah, there's that. Did your favorite make the list? Let me know what it was in the comments. And we've still got to look at NES games from 86, 89, so many more too, so make sure you're subscribed. More videos are coming out real soon.